Yo, hi, hello, namaste everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Unintended Receiver by 91 Ultimate. I'm Mehr, and today you have your favorite people, Jaidip Patel, Richa Patel, and me. Everyone say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm so happy. All the favorites are on the episode. Self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
It has been a
We are-
while since it was just the three of us. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So today we're actually going to be talking to you about the Olympics. Right before we get into that, what's been going on? We are now out of lockdown 2, and some teams have started practicing, which is really nice. There's some places have been able to open up and allow a few ultimate practices, which is so exciting. I went to my first practice. No, not my first, but like after a long time, I went for a practice last weekend, and my muscles ached for 3 days afterwards, and it was fabulous in its own way. There are vaccinations going on across the country. It's slow, but it's happening. Even but now, though, less than 10% of the population is fully vaccinated, and yeah, that number is going to go up in the next 2 months. But that's where we are right now. Kerala is hitting really high numbers in terms of COVID cases. We're at about 40k cases a day right now. And that's all in COVID news. And what else is happening in the ultimate world, Jaidip?
What is happening? It's actually quite a lot happening internationally, or it seems like it. I mean, to me, ADL's been happening, started on June 4th, I think. And so there's games every week, and we've been talking a lot to Munis about how that's going. I actually spoke to him a lot about how San Jose Spiders is probably not going to make the playoffs. With I think they're 2 out of 6 or something, 2 wins out of 6 games. So yeah, AUDL's been happening. Lots of highlight reels, highlights, and stuff. So that's been great to see. I think it's been keeping us engaged, at least watching some high-level Ultimate, even though it's not a version of Ultimate that we play. The USA Ultimate has been having their competitions. Pro Flight Championships, I think, happened, where there were all the divisions: women's, men's, women's opens, and mixed. And I have been hearing European countries playing like some competitions. I listened to the Eurozone podcast and basically got updates from Ravi and Liam around that, because European Federation is trying to figure out what competitions they can have. It's all local. It's all within their own country. So I think that's how Ultimate is going to look for the world until the end of 2021 generally. But they're playing competitive Ultimate. That's great. I'm not jealous at all, obviously.
Australia has also been announcing a bunch of things. Like they announced they got a new CEO. They also announced that they are going. They've picked their World Games team, or they're going to pick, or they've picked the coaching team, and they're going to pick out the teams. And someone I met in Japan when we had gone for the Asia Oceanic Beach Ultimate Championship, Senko, she's the spirit director of Japan. She posted a bunch of photos from the local leagues in Japan. So Japan is also definitely like starting a little bit of play, at least from what I see on Senko's profile. Uh, and Even in UK, there was a league. There was a beach league on like the beach, one of the beaches. It happened last week. It was quite fun. Also, a lot of women's games are happening. Women's leagues are happening in UK, which is really cool. Iceni, I had gone for a practice with them, and they're the top club team from UK, women's club team from UK. They've been kicking butt with their new squad that they announced. So yeah, like you said, Jaidip, internationally there's a lot of activity that's happening.
The PUL also
Also,
started.
yeah. No, they're going to start. It's not yet started. I think their first game is New York Gridlock, I think, is playing the first game. I just saw a post today they put up.
The Premier Ultimate League. Nice.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, in and close to home, Ahmedabad had a tournament last weekend, I want to say, but at least, I mean, in the last 2 3 weeks there was a tournament in Ahmedabad.
Nice.
So if people, yeah, I mean, if people heard the podcast, the one about Know Thy Tribe, where we talked about all of India Ultimate, the different clubs and different teams, and how each region has developed. We talked about Abhay Ghat, which is India's first ultimate team. So they unfortunately are going to be dismantling or going to reform, because the place that they stay in, this that area is going to be demolished,
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, so they're going to move, and so Abhay Ghat, in their honor, or like the teams, the long standing, and the just to remember the times that they played, they organized a local tournament between only Ahmedabad teams.
Hmm.
And from so Mac and Sandy from Bombay had traveled, and they kind of played in a pickup team, and they came back raving about Silent Voice and Voice of Ahmedabad. They were like, these kids were amazing. One kid skied Mac, and he was like, I was just waiting, reading the disc. By the time, I mean, uh, I had not even read the disc, and this one little kid came and grabbed it out of the sky, and I was like, wow, I'm excited to see those kids
That's because Max
play.
he's past it now, isn't he? What is he, 26?
He's 28, 28.
Oh, he's definitely past it then,
Yeah, yeah. He's coming to master's age very soon.
Oh, man, that is scary.
You ageists, all of us up the other side.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just putting it out there that there's a stiff competition for Jaidip now. He cannot be go get away with just like, oh, I'm the best handler in the master's division.
I can
Not
beat Mac in
anymore.
a foot race any day of the
Oh
week.
yeah, yeah. Okay, let's put it out there for Mac. Mac, if you're hearing this, I want a foot race with you and Jaidip next time, and let's
Yeah.
see who wins.
I'm only saying this because state-to-state travel is not allowed. So this is
Exactly.
not going to happen for a while.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, but Ahmedabad had a tournament, and the pickup team, and Silent Voice actually was up against like Mac and Sagar, Nimisha, all the top players from Jumbish and like Storm mixed together, and the scoreline was 15-13. So these kids beat the asses. Pardon my language, but yes, they did. And so yeah, there's a stiff competition coming out of Ahmedabad when
Nice.
NCS happens or not. By the way, are we going to have NCS this year?
Oh, that is
Good
the question. That
question.
is the question I get asked the most. Like, people think that I can make that happen somehow, or that I would know. I guess living with Meghna, I should know. But yes, well, no. Yeah, I don't know. I'm as confused as the UPI is, I think. So, what I've heard through the grapevine, actually, the competitions committee is talking quite openly about this, is that they want to conduct local leagues. So, how the rest of the world, actually, in the UK, this is happening. This is the plan, and the idea is so that you really only have two teams meeting. You can conduct a league and say, okay, ATC is going to play slip disc today, and another location somewhere else, it's going to be another two Bangalore teams, something like this. So this is what I believe to be the plan for as soon as September, not too long away, about 3.5 weeks away. That could happen if the third wave doesn't engulf us again, which we're seeing some Mehr already mentioned this. The numbers are starting to fluctuate in places like Kerala and neighboring states, Karnataka. And so let's see. Well, if the third wave hits hard, then obviously that can't happen. But what I do like is that the UPI is publishing the numbers on a regular basis every Monday. It comes out to everybody in the community. So it's easy to see what can happen legitimately according to those benchmarks. I guess, is that the right word? Those numbers that they're putting out.
So, which means that essentially we're not having an NCS in 2021. I mean, if I want to be practical and not have any more of my hopes crushed about playing Ultimate in NCS, that's not happening then.
Right, yeah, like high-level competitive Ultimate conducted by the UPI, where multiple teams come together from different regions. Not likely in 2021. No.
Okay, I'm going to go and cry a little bit now. But
Doesn't mean you
okay,
can't play
fine.
though, Richard. Just come back to
Yes.
Bangalore and stay at my house for 2 months.
And then I'll come and you'll be like, the woman's place is in the kitchen. Go ahead.
Oh no, I never said that. I never said that.
Yeah, right.
Now it's on record. Everybody
Yeah.
knows.
I'm so
Jaidip's
glad
true side.
I'm so glad I'm the editor.
I will make sure that this goes past through the census board, which is
Yeah,
Jaidip Patel.
I'm
Of
so
course.
glad we are the validators. We validate whether the editing is correct.
Yeah, exactly.
This will make it in. This will make it in for sure. It's too good.
Great.
Something happening with the Disc Golf Association in India. Disc Golf India, is that what it's called?
Yes, it's called Disc Golf Association of India, if I'm not wrong. And I mean, 91 Ultimate got an invite for a meet that they're putting together in December, January. That'd be, I mean, fun to know what they're up to. I know that they have been pushing a strong ambassador program where they've been sending discs, a lot of disc golf disc to people across India. And recently, Goa hosted a session of disc golf. So yeah, maybe
This is so interesting to me. I didn't even know there was a disc golf association, a thing like that. I didn't even know this existed.
Well, it is a social media handle. That's what I know about it. I don't know if it's registered. I know that it probably has an affiliation with the UPI, and it's this.
so if I'm not wrong, I mean Shrikant from Storm Chasers, he was an ambassador for this for disc golf and appointed by the Disc Golf Association of India. There is a gentleman who's played in the US and he came here and he's been gung ho about pushing it, and he has tied up, or he, I mean, from what I've heard is that he definitely has a tie up or been associated with the International Disc Golf Association. So I think it's a legit organization, but yeah, it will be good to check whether it is or not a certified organization.
Right.
I found them on Instagram. They have 339 followers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the main
39,
work of
I think.
the Association of India.
They're legitimate.
Their social media and sending discs. In fact, there are disc golf discs in Bangalore. I've heard about it. So that's happened. I need to find out his name, but he sent discs to India, disc golf discs. That's happened.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's just a matter of time once it kind of picks up, like how the ultimate bugs, like hits. I think disc golf. We also need a lot of space, but I guess be interesting to see what the session is in December, Jan. If it is if it is possible for people to even travel and make it. It's in New Delhi.
Is when you say disc golf disc, is that a different disc from your regular disc?
Yes.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Yes.
It is a it's smaller and it's designed that, and just like golf, they have different clubs for different shots. You have different disc golf discs. You have the driver, you have the putt, you have the approach, and so any usual or semi-serious disc golf player needs a bag of about 20 discs. It's a whole thing. It's quite big. It's very popular in the USA. It's almost, I've heard it's more popular than Ultimate in some places.
Yeah, so last year when I went to UK, I played at a disc golf league, and it was fun. It was quite nice, and it was organized by the International Disc Golf Association in partnership with the UK based association, and that's where I found out that apparently in US it's picking up big time, and that a lot of handlers in US, especially women handlers, they have been picking up disc golf and been kicking butt at disc golf in competitions in US. And currently the women's division is still like in terms of picking up heat, and there's still like a lot of scope for talent to grow, which is the case for any other sport, I guess. But still, I think that a lot of women are taking to disc golf is what I kind of gathered from that one exposure to that one league. But it's really fun. It's definitely fun.
I'm waiting for my legs to stop working, and then I'll probably go to disc golf, which is basically what Brody Smith did. He had a bunch of leg injuries, and now he used to be kind of this trick shot star. Now he's a bit of a disc golf star on YouTube.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a legitimate transition, or just straight into disc golf. Let's see. I love this tangent on disc golf, by the way.
If there are humans who play Ultimate and play golf, they would be killing it at disc golf, right? Because
I don't know. No. The dynamics of both are really different.
Yes, they are. So, what else has been happening since our last episode?
I've seen some really cool videos of Project Kale doing like these layout practices in the rain, slush. I want to do that when I see those kids do that. And I've been seeing Pune Ultimate is reviving its scene. They've got a bunch of practices going on locally, of course, and which is really great to see. Because I have like mini crushes on Sachin, Sunil. They're so cute as people. No inappropriate crushes, just really legitly like really sweet kids that are trying really hard to grow the sport in Pune, and I'm very like heartily warmed that they are doing that this is happening in Pune. And I've seen a post that Chakra was trying to raise funds for a young player who's wanted to do for their further education. I think so far the details of the funds are closed. I mean, the funding or the fundraiser is closed, but yeah, there is still a lot of requirement, I think, for funds, whether it's education or COVID related cases. So everybody should keep an eye out for just helping out each other.
I was just going to say that Pune team, is it a new team called Disc Positive?
I think so, yes. Yes, they are. It's not going to be Flying Spirits. I think it's a offshoot of Flying Spirits. So a bunch of players from Flying Spirits and a few new players are making a new team.
Awesome.
So that's with the updates. Do we have any other updates?
No, I think we can get right to it.
Okay. So speaking of Olympics, so I mean, I watched the Olympics mainly because surfing was debuting at Olympics this year, and I am a
Surfing.
surfing debuted this year, and I've been following and I've been doing surfing for a few years, and I was really excited to just see uh, surfing and like see people go out there in Japan. I've heard that Japan is one of the places where surfing is really tough because their shows are very like they have one of the tougher spots across the world, and so I was really excited to see the sport. And apart from that, I think that just a lot has happened recently with the Olympics, like whether it's gender in Olympics, corruption, sports washing, greenwashing, just what India has sent its biggest contingent to the Olympics. So, and a lot of people are talking about it. And like I recently saw a post the UN had put up, UN Women, about the transition of how women participation has increased in the Olympics since the 1900s. And it's phenomenal because, and it's something I was speaking with Meghna about, was that only in the last 20-40 years is when women participation in the Olympics has like increased to now becoming to 48.9%, which is almost 50-50. And I was like, no wonder, like that's when I like really realized I empathize now with my mom, who didn't really see sports as a career or as an avenue for me. And I can possibly now understand and kind of let go of the frustration with my mom that when she didn't support my my kind of fear like okay, let me play sports, etc. She didn't never realize it, and I totally understand. She didn't see role models. She didn't see a lot of involvement of female in sports, um and yeah, that data set really hit me hard. But yeah, the whole conversation around gender in Olympics is something that's really um uh, intrinsic. And I just found out recently that in this particular Olympics, there are two transgender folks who are participating um, in um, in Olympics. One is Quinn in the Canadian soccer team, and so even like in terms of non-binary genders, it's interesting to see, like that. Interesting to know that only in 2004, I think, is when 2004 2005 is when Olympics opened up participation for transgender and non-binary or other genders. And only in 2015 is when Olympics kind of moved away from its rules. So initially it had a rule that you had to have the transition surgery, and only then you could participate and play, otherwise you could not. But in 2015, a transgender athlete, kind of fought for taking back that rule, and not making it a mandatory compulsion. And since 2015, it's not a compulsion to do the transition surgery, and you can play without the surgery. So um, yeah, just, and a lot of experts also say that in the next 5 years, that Olympics will have to think really hard about gender and Olympics, and how they can uh, open up the sports arena to different people from different race, caste, background, gender, etc. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the whole gender and Olympics conversation?
Yeah, it's I think I have this very kind of angry relationship with the Olympics, and that was most evident in this article I wrote about 5 years ago. Uh,
Yeah.
how India lost the Olympics is the name of the article, and it's we often think that Olympics is the highest level of sport in the world, which I don't agree with, and so it's not true for me, and I struggle with it, right? Because in the UK spends $4.5 million per medal that they get at the Olympics, and the US probably more on that, and same for Russia, same for China, who are the top performing nations. And I don't want India to do that. Like that sounds insane. That amount of money
Yeah.
going into medals, you could say, you could argue, right? Like obviously that's a lot of investment in facilities, sports, training, coaches, equipment, programs starting off from 5 years old. However, I don't want that to be the case, right? I would hate to think that India spends that amount of money on getting medals. So therefore, it's not really a priority. At least this is the argument that I'm trying to make. Um, which is why, like, I think at the time of recording, we're at 63 or something in the 60s, which is typical. Same for Rio 2016. China's on top, maybe USA second. Probably gonna USA should top it as they usually do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't care, right? I don't really care that India's top.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. However, it is very indicative of the sporting culture. Like, I agree with what you said, right? Our parents didn't really support us that much, but probably for good reason, right? They had other things to think of and much more higher priority. And there wasn't as much of this link being made for like how can sport be good for society, for the economy, which has been proven, but it wasn't evident then. Is it now the case? Like, is the culture changing? Yeah, definitely. Sports is increasing massively in India, and I love that because this is what I do kind of full time, and promoting sports. So let's get to the Olympics. Is it high priority? No, I don't think so. Even for ultimate frisbee to be into the Olympics, I would hate to think that we changed rules in order to do that,
Yeah,
especially
definitely.
around the
Yeah.
self refereeing aspect, right? Like I wouldn't. I would be okay not being in the Olympics if it meant that we had to have referees, and that was the only thing that it came down to. What I've heard though is that that isn't the case. It's actually a lot of. It's really hard to introduce a new sport into the Olympics. It's hard to get it in, once you're in, then it's easy to add the events and disciplines, the opens versions, the women's versions, the 3-on-3 versus 5-on-5, whatever. But getting in is hard.
Yeah, but even if Olympic enters, right? I think the IOC has created a format now where there is a certain number of games which are standard games, which will not change in or which will definitely happen as part of the Olympics. There are 5 games that will be added, and these 5 games are the ones which the host nation gets to choose or add, and that will change. So in the LA Olympics, it could very much be that surfing doesn't make it to the short list of 5, and ultimate or any other sport that bids comes in for that, like Coco, if we ever want to admit enter in Coco. Um, so yeah, even those 5 sports, they might make it one year. So there is no guarantee that every year that ultimate, once it enters into Olympic, it'll happen every single year. It'll still have to fight for a spot amongst those 5 sports, and that's a lot of energy and effort, which I think it's, in my mind, like I would want to focus more energy into growing locally,
Yeah.
doing a lot more investment when it comes to athletes, gender equity. We have so much that we can do with the sport, instead of just primarily only solely focusing on Olympics.
Having said that, I think this is something also like we spoke about in the earlier episode with Manisha. She brought up, the finances that come into play when we speak about the Olympics. And
Yeah,
should ultimate make it to the Olympics in the coming few years, what does that look like for the country in terms of just financially, like supporting teams, bringing people up, helping with training? Yes, there may be aspects of change in sport which Jaidip spoke about, but will it overall be an upward movement for the sport? Perhaps. And this is also something interesting about this Olympics that is being held in Tokyo, is that one of the reasons that is being cited for the 49% share of women uh, contenders is that there were 18 new events added to make sure, and
correct.
also a high number of mixed gender competitions, interestingly. Yeah, mixed
Exactly.
tennis,
Yeah.
mixed table tennis,
Yeah.
mixed relays, and mixed golf. So another point Manisha spoke about, that is it going to be the mixed gender aspect of ultimate that's going to make it to Olympics? um, Something to think about, considering that this is very much something that the International Olympic Committee is thinking about.
Yeah.
And even I think, practically, to me speaking, like by 2024 Olympics, right? Like, is India even going to be in a position to put up a real strong fight in the Olympics against nations like USA, Great Britain, Australia? I don't think so. I don't think we have the talent that is required at the moment. We've also suffered a big hit with COVID, in terms of practices being delayed, or just individual athletes being able to put in the amount of energy, effort to do individual practice, team practices, etc., right? And from the past, like seeing Royan.
Just to add,
Yeah.
I don't know how some part of it is talent, a lot part of it is also like the opportunity that we are being able to give, considering the country we are, and let's say a China or an America is. Because their stats have shown that the higher the population, the higher the number of medals is supposed to be, but that's not sort of working for India because, well, our resources
Yeah.
are, yeah, going in that direction.
We've got
Yeah,
1.3 billion people. We should have more medals.
yeah. Go
but
on.
but I'm just purely practically speaking from the current talent pool, right? Like in 2024
We're
is
not in
what, 3 years
2024,
away.
by the way.
Yeah, I'm saying that LA is happening 2024. Sorry, 2028. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
2028. Sorry, yeah. So we have, I think, about 7 years, 6 years. to 2028, how much talent are we going to be able to build until then to field a really great team in the Olympics if Ultimate made it to the Olympics? Do we have the systems in place to choose the right kind of caliber and team? Do we have a good coaching pool? I mean, yeah, we are definitely doing a lot of work for building our coaching talent, but do we have the right amount of coaching? Do we have a right amount of, the all the management of the team that is required for a team, for a ultimate frisbee team from India going and repping Olympics and doing really good over there? I think that in if ultimate entered LA in 2028, I think it would be beneficial to the nations that are already doing really well at ultimate right now. For a lot of nations, we're still playing catch up in the terms of how much talent do we have to even showcase. Like we saw France, there was such a big gender divide between how women performed on the field versus men. And even in the Asia Oceanic two games, two tournaments that we had, right? Like I think, yes, in those two tournaments women did do a little bit better, but there was still so much scope for bridging the gap between the genders. So I think that, I mean, I'm not sure how much is ultimate going into 2028 in Olympics going to be of benefit to India. That I am still practically, I don't think it's going to be too beneficial. I think it will be, if ultimate made it at a later date, I think that would be much better for India. That's my feeling.
But wouldn't it be enough to just be competing, even if there is no standing or it doesn't show up in some way, show up in a top position? Isn't it enough to just be able to put in that effort? That'll make that is part of the step of taking it to the top, right? So
I would think so. I would think so, that just being there and having that experience. But again, we know the bureaucracy, the other that that comes in with SAI. It's not as easy to create, to put in a team in place and then send it to Olympics. The SAI is going to step in. There's going to be a lot of Olympic Association, Indian Olympic Association stepping in. How is that going to change? How much is it going to really affect? Do they even know how the ultimate really functions in India? We're not even recognized as of now
Yeah,
by
I
the
was going to say
SCI.
that. Yeah.
So I don't even know that just being there is really going to be enough for us, because I'm not sure what that going there and being is going to be. Is it going to be actual talent like Siva, Rocket, Krishna, Sangi, Veera, etc. representing, or is it going to be completely new people that the Olympic Association and the SCI say, no, we think that these new people who are doing good in other sports will should represent? So I don't know at this point in time.
We do have a bit of insight into this question. How will the Olympics impact Indian ultimate, right? Because we've done this. We've entered teams, squads into world championship events. And so to know or understand how the entering into the Olympics would have an impact, we could reflect on those examples that we have already if we wanted to. I think it's had somewhat of an impact. It's had a financial impact for sure. At times it's been a burden, and it hasn't the trickle down effect that we would imagine or like to have from sending players and teams to places like London, Australia, France, Japan, Dubai. Isn't what we had hoped for, perhaps, or we're not really seeing the impacts now. It's so close. Maybe it's too soon. We need to wait another 5 to 10 years. So there is some trickle down effect that is being seen. Is it what I would have hoped to experience? No, I think there could be a lot more impact on like grassroots ultimate, what's happening in with club teams, because we've been sending squads to international events. But some of that impact we're yet to see. It might take some time, another 5 to 10 years, on how those experiments have gone. We just have to wait it out.
Yeah, I think there is some experience, but to say that yeah, we need more than just like just representation enough is not enough. A reason to send a team to Olympics. I think we need more in terms of growth. Definitely agree. And also, and I think another thing that in this Olympics has really kind of um, been a highlight or very big talk point or in the media spotlight is this Simone Biles exits and Naomi Osaka around mental health. And I wonder that in the India context, and this is just speaking in India ultimate frisbee context, like, is it okay to be in, like, not okay? Do we have players? Do we have spaces? Do we have enough coaching support or team support where somebody says, "Hey, I'm not feeling up for it, and this is not my year. This is not my game. I'm going to step out." I mean, I've recently seen a lot of clips, a lot of highlight reels that the top players are putting out saying, "Oh, we're like, this is great, we're great, we always have to be on top of our game and this and that." But I feel like we're all human. Someday it's going to come to a point where we're not going to be our best. And do we have the ecosystem to support somebody's mental health, like, not breakdown, but something that maybe because of mental health somebody wants to step out, or have we even seen in the past any example where a player has kind of stepped aside or been open enough to say, "Hey, this is not my here, I want to take care of my mental health and not just my physical health, and so I will step out."
I think, Richa, like, this is a very important and interesting thing to talk about, and a little aside from the sporting world. Earlier this past few months, I was watching MasterChef Australia and 13 season 13, and there was a contestant, Brent, and he also sort of opted out because of uh, mental health reasons. And like, now these two examples that you talked about, I think perhaps world over there is an increased space or stage to be able to express that I'm not feeling like it's my day, like you beautifully described right now. Having said that, the question of whether India is at that place right now, this is something that the Indian team was also saying. Has some of the contenders have been heard saying that there is so much pressure on them to succeed, and that really may make them lose focus. So that is something that is being said by some of the people in the Indian team, uh, notably a few shooters. I don't remember their name, but yeah. So this is an important question, I think, you bring up, and I don't think in my mind, there is a example to put out there that has been done before.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sorry, go on, Jaideep.
No, it's just like coming to the Simone Biles. It's insane. Like if you have had the chance to watch Athlete A and hear about USA Gymnastics, and I mean, it's a whole decade story of sexual assault that went on for many, many years within the organization that was covered up by the national governing body because it wasn't perceived to be important enough or a priority, or it just wasn't. The players and the athletes were not put at the forefront, and I think that has to be the case, right? For any national governing body, it's players first, and that's what I liked about what Steve Hall said in his episode. Like, the AUDL is about players. What can we do for the players? And they always come first, and then it's the team, and then it's the AUDL, whatever, third, fourth, and this, I think, is leading to a lot of problems. The idea that national governing bodies have a lot of pressure on them, or they're creating that pressure for athletes as well, and that we can't lose sight of, that it should not come at the cost of things like this, like mental health.
Yeah. And so much of this has to do with the politics of being a country representing your country in the Olympics, the
Yeah.
soft power aspect of it.
Yeah.
the cultural diplomacy. Like you're like what the power that it showcases by winning the golds and the silvers and the bronzes, and the money that's going into it, the grandeur, and of course all that is linked to these athletes, these individual people who are to succeed. And you will even, like, we've seen this in India. We have someone winning a medal, and you'll have a politician's
Yeah.
face up in the district. Like the athletes face is nowhere to be seen, but the politicians like, hey, congratulations. Like what's going on?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. How is it that you are claiming stake on their win? Like, what have you done? And even if you've done something, it's the athlete that's done something at the end of the day.
Yeah, I got a WhatsApp message today which said, "Congratulations, Modi ji, on the medals win." I was like,
Yeah,
what's going on?
really? Oh my God! It's ridiculous. I saw a post by like India or whatever, like the government handle that said that, oh, we welcome you Independence Day. There will be some special, some flag parade or whatever. I'm like, okay, why don't you? And this is on the back of the fact that Mirabai, she posted a picture a few days after winning the gold medal of her sitting on the floor and eating food, like just showing the real state of athletes. Like instead spend money on improving the livelihoods of these athletes, right? Give them money that they deserve after putting the nation and just getting such wins for the nation. Like we don't even do enough for the athletes itself.
Yeah, and I think just adding to that, of course, there is the governments and politics that is catching the bandwagon to the success of these athletes, but also the corporate world shouldn't
Oh
forget,
yeah.
like the brands that jump on and start sending free cement or like free pizza to in honor of this win, like yeah.
Yeah, and and I think that talking about winning and just yeah, I know we were talking about mental health, but also winning, right? Like women's team, like the women players have done phenomenally well this Olympics, um, and I mean, it's I just want to know that how is this really going to translate into the actual organizing of the sports. Like I was seeing, and all the federations of the sports that are part of the Olympics are, barring two sports, rowing and triathlon, all are male leadership. There is very little female leadership, and I'm sure that has an impact on how coaching or this programming for women sports players happen. So I want to know now this year, okay, women have done so much, and they're bringing back medals. How is this going to convert or translate into leadership roles for organizing, for how can they voice their concerns or be able to play an active role in changing the way the sporting world can be inclusive to women and other genders, even for that matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just changing gears a little bit, but who do you think would make the team? Because I'm thinking that maybe this is why I don't care about the Olympics, but I know I wouldn't make it. So who who would you put in the Olympic team for
The
India?
ultimate.
Yeah, ultimate Olympic team.
You guys tell me. You're the experts on the experts.
No, it's not. It's not. What are the expert? You can have like a.
Let's reel them off. Come on.
Okay, fine. So I think that I would definitely want to see women players from the Project Hill team. I've seen some really good potential in them, and they're young, athletic talent. Uh, I would definitely want to see a couple of the young female players from the Project Hill team. I also really like the playing style of Kamlesh, Rutvik, and Krishna. Um,
Jumbish.
yeah, Jumbesh, and then I think that also Nona. She's really tall.
Mm.
She has great skies. She's fearless in the way she plays. Also, I think that Sanjay is the one who has really cool forehand high release, I think. from Chennai.
Fly Wild. Yep.
He was, yeah, Flywell. He was part of the Australia team, I think. I would definitely want to see him part of the team. I'm thinking who else? Um, hmm.
Sohani, Rocket, Shiva, uh, Sneha Patil, maybe still. I haven't seen her play. Obviously, I haven't seen anybody play for 2 years.
Even Anna. Anna is really good. Anna, right, from
Anna from
Airbenders.
Airbenders. Yep, yep, it's very good.
She's really good. She's quite sharp on the field as well.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I think definitely these players for sure. And I think even Sachin and Sunil, actually Sunil more than Sachin because he's an amazing left-handed.
Yeah.
Just I think by
He's just breaking everybody. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Just by being a left-handed handler, he's just awesome, and his flick hucks are just really mind-blowing. They're just too cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely want to see them. Yeah.
And it also, like, I guess these are all like our today's predictions, right? Or what would the dream
Yeah.
team look like today? Because 7 years from now, it's going to change completely, I think.
Yeah. I would also want to see some talents from Assam. I think Assam also has a lot of scope for, especially the women players. From what
Yeah.
I've heard from Minu, after she came back from the camps, she said that there are some of players, women players who, like, in a few years, they'll be really good. Like, they're young, and in a few years training, they'll be awesome.
Yeah. I've coached them and I've seen that it's phenomenal. The women are better than the men.
To all the players who weren't mentioned, be rest assured that this is just Jaidip and Richa's
Biased.
Yeah.
dream team.
Yeah.
You could very well make it to the Olympic shortlist.
This
Yeah,
is what I keep
yeah.
telling myself in the mirror every day. I'm just like, you're going to make it. Don't mention your own
How's
name.
that going? How's that going? Is the mirror cracked, Jenny?
Oh, man. I'm going to pretend I'm sad now. Good. That was
But I mean, prediction wise, I think that it's all going to be a young team. There are going to be no old players in the team for sure.
Oh my god, you
Ageist again. Yes, I know.
Okay?
There are very few players, I think, in the Masters, but there are players like Sneha.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just joking. I feel like, yeah, there are a lot of players in the Masters division. I feel like if I were, I mean, I would still go for the tryouts. Even though I won't make the team, I will still go for tryouts, even though I know I'm not going to make the team.
You sound like every player who goes to try out.
Richa, you can your claim to fame can be I went to Olympic tryouts.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
We'll get jerseys made just for that.
Yeah. Be like,
Tryout
went to Olympic trial. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this was great. This was a good roundup, and it's been a while since we did kind of an updates episode. So thanks. I think it was good to kind of get into this discussion as well about the Olympics and our thoughts, and we shared some very good, somewhat personal opinions, which is great.
I love how you were like, "Achhe hi the. They were good only."
Yeah, it has to be, right?
Coming from the favorites.
Yep. Thank you, everybody, for listening and tuning in. I do want to add that this podcast would not be possible without these people. Mehr is on here right now and as the founder and host and producer. We also have Richa Patel, who is another host and is in charge of marketing and communications. I do hosting and production and editing, whatever I feel like I'm able to do at times. And we also have Sahil Bichliwala, who is part of the marketing and communications team. And with that,
Woohoo!
Goodbye, farewell, tata.
Yes, everybody stay safe.
stay safe and keep tuning in. See you on the next episode. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.